What's up, and welcome back to Kinda Funny Games Daily. As always, I'm Tim Geddes, joined by the Rogue One, Gary Whitta.
Good morning, Tim. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Right before we went live here, we started talking about this video game. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. I don't think anyone's talked about it recently or ever. It's called NBA Street Volume 2. And you just said you were going to drop a nugget, a little trivia, a little piece of information that I don't know about this game. Please do that, Gary.
It wasn't necessary because I just thought it was funny. We were having a completely separate conversation about listening to music around the house, and you mentioned They Reminisce Over You, an absolute classic track. And and I mentioned that previously last week on the Xcast, it had come up in a completely different context because it's on the NBA Street Volume 2 soundtrack, one of the great tracks. It's not necessarily like a piece of trivia. I just wanted to ask you if you remembered, if you knew this. That's the song that most people associate with NBA Street Volume 2, but it's not the track that plays on the title screen. Do you remember what's the track that plays on the title screen?
Live on Stage. Right?
No,
it's not the
unless it rotates
on stage.
You know what? When I think of the NBA Street Volume 2 soundtrack, you know what I think of? Nelly, Not in My House.
Okay, yeah.
You might catch me on the road, but not in my house.
Yes,
come on, that's what I remember.
The best thing about that soundtrack is, if I remember correctly, it's 6 songs. There are 6 songs that
that's all you need when they're all that good, though.
That's the thing. They're all so damn good that you're just
every single one. You're happy to see it rotate back. There was a period when I listened to They Reminisce Over You, like it was on constant rotation.
You know what pisses me off though, Gary?
Yeah.
The commercial for NBA Street Volume 2 featured this or that you can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with with the iconic the third verse, the engine number 9.
Another banger, another Snow Gold banger.
And it's not in the game. It's not in the game. If I remember correctly, it is in NBA Street Volume 1, but it is not in 2, even though it was in the commercial. Shout out to Black Sheep, man. They are just so damn good.
It's funny, there's a broader conversation here about how really good music curation in video games, as you often see in sports games. EA's been good at this for years, whether it be NBA Street, the FIFA games, whatever. They always load them up with, really good contemporary music. And that's for someone like me who is not cool when it comes to music. It isn't typically very good at music discovery. Video games over the years, and games like NBA Street Volume 2 and the FIFA games, have been a great way for me to discover music that I otherwise never would have heard. I might not ever have heard They Reminisce Over You if it weren't for NBA Street. And now, it's like every time I hear it, I love that song.
Yeah, totally. Last night I was having dinner at the restaurant BJ's. And, they're playing like all the music that they play out of BJ's. I don't know what that means, but just like normal music. And all of a sudden I hear something and I'm looking at Gia and I'm like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, holy shit. This is Superman by Goldfinger, as made popular by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1. And I had a moment, Gary, where I'm here like, it kind of feels like when you see your teacher outside of school, where like you don't even know how to deal with the situation because it's like you're very familiar with this, but they're in the wrong place. It was that type of thing where I'm like, what the fuck? I'm hearing this song in the real world. Like it just it felt like worlds colliding in this crazy way where like generally Superman and BJ's have only went together a couple times in my life.
Music is really closely associated with memory. Like we all have those songs that we associate with like a breakup or a heartbreak when we were younger or whatever, the song that was playing when like some shit went down. And I, in a similar way, I often associate songs that I know well with the context the first time that I heard them. So again, every time I hear They Reminisce Over You, I go straight to NBA Street Volume 2. There's a particular Blur song called 19-2000, a very specific remix of it.
Gorillaz.
Gorillaz. My mistake. Damon Albarn. That I first the Soul Child remix that I first discovered, that was in Project Gotham Racing 3. And every time that song comes on, even if it's just on the radio in its own context, I go straight back to Project Gotham Racing 3. So there's a particular Kasabian song that I associate with whatever FIFA game it was in a few years ago. That's just how it works now. And it is. I don't listen to a lot of radio. When I listen to music, I just listen to shit that I already know. So I don't often discover a lot of new music, and the kind of stuff that bubbles up, on the radio is not often to my interest anyway. So really, video games, one of the great gifts that it's given me, and I think many of us over the years, is now that music plays such a big part of video games. The GTA games obviously have been great at this as well. Just a great way to discover cool music that you might otherwise never have discovered.
Exactly. That Gorilla song, that specific remix of that Gorilla song.
Yeah, the Soul Child remix of 192000. It's the music that we choose. Come on, we all know it.
It legitimately, that remix might be in my top 3 favorite songs of all time. Like, if I was on an island and I could only listen to 3 songs, and I don't understand why this hypothetical island allows me to listen to songs, but I would make sure that that remix is on this. But you know what, Gary? There's so many other things we need to talk about, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily, where each and every weekday right here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, we get together to talk about all the video game news that you need to know. If you can't watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or roosterteeth.com. If you're watching live, though, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. And also a new thing as of today, we are now Epic partners, which means we have an Epic creator code. You can use our Epic creator code KindaFunny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support us. It's really cool. And to support that, today we are doing a launch stream for Kena Bridge of Spirits. Andy Cortez is going to be playing through it right after this on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. That's going to be a ton of fun. And we're giving away 21 codes to people in the chat of Kena Bridge of Spirits. So that's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to be a part of this show, you can go to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free, along with the daily exclusive post show. A little housekeeping for you. It's September on Twitch. Viewers across the platform throughout the month can take advantage of 20% off subscriptions for first-time subs and gifted subs. Your support means the world to us here at Kinda Funny. And right now, you can take advantage of this deal and receive benefits like ad-free viewing, sub emotes, and more. Thursday, we're going to be playing World War Z Aftermath for a sponsored stream. You can swing by at 11 a.m. PT right after Kinda Funny Games Daily to see Greg, Mike, Andy, and Blessing blast some zombies. If you miss it live, it'll be on our newest YouTube channel, youtube.com/KindaFunnyPlays afterwards. Thank you to our Patreon producers, the Kinda Funny Destiny 2 PC clan, Blackjack. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much. Today we're brought to you by DraftKings Away and Amazon Music, but I'll tell you all about that later because we got some fun stuff to talk about, Gary. Let's see. It's time to begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's been a while since I posted this show. We have 5 news stories today.
Baker's dozen.
Exactly. Story number 1, the Kena Bridge of Spirits reviews are in, and they might not be what you expected, everybody. Currently sitting at an 84 on Metacritic. Our full review is up right now on PS I Love You XOXO. You can get it on podcast services or youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames. It was the cast of PS I Love You. So, of course, Greg Miller, of course, Blessing Adeoye Jr., and Janet Garcia. They were joined by me and Andy Cortez. So you got a whole bunch of different thoughts about all of that stuff. But if you want some more thoughts, I got them for you right here. IGN's Mitchell Saltzman gave it an 8 out of 10, saying, "It makes sense that Ember Lab, the developer of Kena Bridge of Spirits, started out as an animation studio. Just looking at this gorgeous world and Pixar-esque character designs tells you that this is a team that has a ton of experience in making incredible digital works, including their fantastic," I'm editorializing a little bit here, Majora's Mask fan film, Terrible Fate, that if you haven't seen, go on YouTube right now and check it out. It is stunning, gorgeous, beautiful, and definitely sets the stage for what Kena is about to bring to you. While Bridge of Spirits gameplay doesn't quite match the extraordinarily high bar set by its visuals for a number of reasons, including some bland storytelling and shallow progression, this 3D open world action adventure is still nonetheless an impressive achievement thanks to its exciting and deceptively simple combat and an excellent balance of action, puzzle solving, and platforming. Moving over to GameSpot, Phil Hornshaw gave it a 9. In Kena Bridge of Spirits, everyday items are imbued with new, unseen emotional significance. A wooden mask is a link to the spirit of the person for whom it was made. Objects like a construction hammer or a box filled with food are tied to memories of the people who have been lost. Locations that were once the sites of vibrant and happy times are scarred with the pain and trauma suffered within them. The interactions with the characters you find in each section of the game help imbue the areas in and around the village with the character of their own, and despite the fact that the place has been all but destroyed, you can feel the life that once thrived there. It's about exploring a world, seeing what it once was, and helping to restore it again. While Kena Bridge of Spirits is full of familiar feeling combat and exploration, its ability to find different ways to look at those ideas makes for a beautiful, emotional, and exciting journey. And finally, Game Informer's Andrew Reiner, the homie, also gave it a 9 out of 10. Bridge of Spirit stumbles a little in spots, yet confidently sprints into the hearts of the adventure, rewarding the player with secrets galore and visuals that are almost always worth admiring. If you love Zelda-like games or are just looking for an experience that will make you smile every step of the way, you can't go wrong with Kena Bridge of Spirits. Gary Whitta, have you played this game? Are you interested in this game? And what's this do for you?
So strangely, this is one that had not been on my radar at all. I don't think I'd ever heard of this game. If it had been in some PlayStation showcase down, prior to this, I must have missed it. But I had not seen a lot of kind of pre-advanced publicity for this. The first I heard of it yesterday was a tweet from my friend Mike Krahulik over at Penny Arcade, who was excited about it and tweeted out a picture of it. And he's an artist, so he was saying he really responded to the art style, the visual style looked really good to him, and it does. It looked great. It looks great. The whole vibe of it, both aesthetically and just in terms of just like the whole feel of it, I'm getting almost kind of like a Raya in The Last Dragon kind of vibe from it, which is a movie that I really, really loved. And so I don't know very much about it, but if you tell me it's got like a Raya and The Last Dragon kind of aesthetic, and it's a Zelda type game, possibly it sounds like it might also be kid friendly, so maybe my kid would like the look of it. My whole family loves Zelda games, so I don't know. This kind of came out of nowhere. Is it just me, or does it feel like this kind of crept up on us? This game?
It's not. It didn't creep us on out of nowhere, but I think that because of just the state of the world, there's a couple weird elements of it where it did get delayed, and I think that because of that, it got lost in the shuffle a bit. And the biggest thing is it just came out, and the review embargo was last night at 9 p.m., which didn't really fill people with faith. So I think that was one of those things where they were flying under the radar, so you might not have been thinking about it much in the last couple of months, even though they did talk about it a lot over the last year. Like, this was one of those big showpiece titles for the PS5 showcases that they've had to really show off the system, and what a independent small studio can do. This is their first game, and I think that all that together gave reason for people to be really excited and look forward to this. But I think that was the other thing, is this is a big surprise, and I think that we kind of just need to wrap our heads around the fact that reviews coming in last minute doesn't necessarily mean the kiss of death that it used to in this COVID world that we're in now, where things just are not how they used to be. And this game is fantastic. People are really, really enjoying it. And like it's getting a ton of 8s, tons of 9s, it's even getting some 10s. So even though it felt kind of like, ooh, how's this coming together? We didn't get review codes until just a couple days ago to be able to play, which is rare for this thing. But then when you put it in the context of this is a very small team, and this is their first game, and for it to hit the levels that this did is extremely impressive. You can listen to our full thoughts on PS I Love You, but just to give you a thought of where I'm at with the game, I haven't beat it yet. I'm a little over 2/3 through at this point, and I don't want it to end. I'm enjoying my time with it, every minute of it, and I've only enjoyed the game more as it went on. I started really liking it, and where I'm at now, I'm really loving it. Like, this game is special, and it's the type of thing where I feel it's difficult to talk about without adding some buts and some like disclaimers of like, yeah, well, this is feels a little archaic, and this feels a little like whatever. I don't even want to focus on that stuff, because there's so much good here. And it's not just the visuals. This game is deceivingly difficult, deceivingly complex. Like, I do think that it's going to be a game that is going to kick a lot of kids' asses, because they're going to think it's this like fun Pixar adventure, and the spirit's there for sure. But some of the boss fights are brutal, but it's the type of brutal that is what I like from Frustrating Challenge, where you're supposed to die a couple times fighting the boss to understand the pattern and go through and learn what you're supposed to do, because as you play through the game, you get new abilities that allow you different both puzzle solutions but also combat solutions. And I think that that's where a lot of the Zelda comparisons come into play. And there's been a lot of conversation talking about this game being reminiscent of PS2 games, or like the old Star Fox Adventures, like the GameCube Zelda, like Okami, like that type of thing. And I think that is a compliment. Like, it is definitely not a criticism, and for the most part, like, there are elements of it that are, but I think that's where the criticisms come into play of it being a PS5 game, where it's like there are just modern elements missing, where an example being when you pull up the map, you can't put waypoints anywhere. And it just kind of feels like that's a standard thing, that it's not fun to know where you're supposed to be going in a video game. and having to pull up your map every 3 seconds just to make sure your little dumb arrow is orienting the right way. You know,
oh god, that drives me crazy when drives me crazy when games do that.
Yeah, it's just like it's not enhancing the gameplay to make you feel like you're lost trying to find your way. It's like I know I'm trying to go, and like, is the solution always to be able to just drop a waypoint on the map, pop out, and then there's like a blue thing line path going exactly where to go? I don't know that that's necessarily the answer, but not having that in this is one of the examples of it not feeling modern and kind of feeling a little archaic. But I don't think that that's that big of a deal.
I would definitely take a look at it. What you said about the difficulty level is not a plus for me. You know how I like, my baby mode when I play games.
There is that. There's a story mode.
Okay, so that's good. I always like whenever it says recommended for people who just want to experience the story, click. I'm straight there. Everything you said about Zelda, again, I might have to put this on Leah's radar because she loves Zelda likes. The problem is, and I don't want to get into a wider discussion here, but I'll just kind of, I feel like it is something I'm thinking about right now. As much as I want to play it, I don't know if I have the time for it. I'm in the middle of something right now. I got a big backlog waiting behind that. I can't keep. There's too much stuff to play, and it's only going to get worse as we get into the big holiday releases. And even we talked before about even like Q1 next year is packed. There's too much good stuff, and so if you're gonna break through that, and the big the two big obstacles are time and money, right? You got to have the money to afford these games in the first place, and then you got to find the time to play them. Most people are constrained in at least one of those two areas. With me, it's more time than money. But either way, like there's just there's only so much of that I have, and so I want to check it out. Every new PS5 game that comes out, I mean, I'm intrigued to at least look at it because they always look so good. I still feel like I'm still getting that next gen, glow from a lot of these new games. Oh man, they just look so good, and the frame rate's so buttery smooth, and the loading times. Like I'm still enjoying that. I feel like we're still enjoying that next gen. That next gen honeymoon period is still wonderful. So I want to kind of check out everything that comes along. But in terms of the games I'm really going to commit to, I mean, I just started Judgment, which is God knows how many hours that's going to be, Yakuza type game. It's probably 50, 60 hours at least. And then I'm on to who knows what, by the time I finish that, it'll be the next thing. It's like, I want to check this out. There's aren't enough hours in the day, and there is too many games out there vying for our attention right now. It's hard to break through.
No, totally. You're bringing up a really good point. And I feel like the last couple of years, we've just been spoiled as gamers with so many high quality experiences. Like what it means to be a gamer that that makes sure you play the canon of video games, right? Like what are the games that like you're expected to play and all that? It's gotten to the point that it's impossible. It's impossible unless it is your full-time job to have played all of the major releases, because nowadays a major release doesn't just mean the big AAA titles. It also means a bunch of these indie titles. It also means these AA titles. Like we're in this like amazing moment where every vertical of video games are coming back in some way, shape, and form. And what a video game has been pulled into so many directions that have allowed to plant their seeds and grow into these amazing things. That this game is a $40 title that looks like some of the best $70 titles I've ever seen. And that's purely because the technology's there to allow these artists to just have their vision speak for itself, right? And like to your point about like the time and money and stuff, I think Kena is an amazing investment because it is on the shorter side. Like you could beat it in like 12 hours, and it's $40. So it's like it's a cool thing to be able to have. And I just love that we have options right now, like between Deathloop coming out, this coming out, all the different games that are on Game Pass on the Xbox side. It's like you don't need to play all of them. We get to play all of them, and you can play them at your leisure whenever you want to. Like I'm having a great time with Deathloop, but Kana grabbed me, pulled me away from it. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a better game than that, but it speaks more to me. And I just love that there are games that can speak to so many different people that are coming out that are of this quality. Like the fact that I think the conversation around Kana is mainly around the little things that kind of feel off, as opposed to like, holy crap, this is an incredible achievement that this game is as good as it is. That says a lot about the games industry. We've evolved. Our expectations are higher, and the standard bar for what good is and the standard bar for what amazing is has kind of just changed dramatically, I would say, since 2017 probably, and it's only been moving more and more in that direction where, you know, we always talk about how 2017, 2018, they had those banger obvious game of the year titles with God of War and with Zelda Breath of the Wild. But then we had years like 2019 that are like, okay, there's a ton of really, really high quality games, but there's not that one standout. And I love that where we're at now in 2021, there's not that one standout, but we're talking about
well, that's a matter of opinion. For me, there is. I mean, I definitely
but that's my point, though. My point is everyone has their own, but there's not one consensus title.
Is there ever really a consensus, like one that everyone can, like almost everyone can agree on?
Breath of the Wild and God of War. It's like my thing. I'm not saying.
Well, but that's two different games. So so which is which one is it then?
That's 2 different years.
Oh, were they 2 different years? Well, okay. What about what about when Zelda and Mario Odyssey came out the same year?
Well, that's the thing. Is like there's still conversation, but at the end of the day, I would say a vast majority of people would give it to Breath of the Wild. Like when you look back on that, people don't remember Odyssey as being the game of the year that year. They remember Breath of the Wild being the game of the year.
Again, it's a totally a matter for my wife Leah. It was definitely Breath of the Wild. For me, it was more Mario because I'm just more of a Mario guy than a Zelda guy. So the games could be equally as good, but then the tiebreaker becomes, well, what's more to your personal taste? Let me ask you this. I talking about like managing backlogs and there's too much good stuff. I just want to ask you because it's something I think about a lot. When you have multiple games out there at a given time vying for your attention, Tim, are you able to juggle? You're like, Monday night I'm going to play this, Tuesday night I'm playing that, and then Wednesday I'll go back to this other thing, especially when games have got like, you know, multiple narratives and things. Are you able to juggle big story-based games at the same time, like jumping back and forth, or do you have to like commit to one, finish it, then move on to the next?
I realized a while back that I love video games, and that doesn't mean that relationship needs to be I'm at the beck and call of video games. I only want to play them when I'm enjoying it. I don't want to have to play anything. And I feel like whenever games get me to that point that I feel like I have to play it, I'm like, cool, I don't have to do this. So I'm not going to. I always like use the story of like, I remember being a little kid and going to like a McDonald's or whatever, and they'd have those kiosks, or you go to a doctor's office and they'd have the shitty N64 controller, or like a hotel always had the N64 controller like connected to the TV or whatever. And
yeah, like a 3-foot cable.
Exactly. And when you're a kid, you're just like, I just fucking want to play video games. I don't care what the game is. I just want my hands on the controller. I'm a 32-year-old man at this point. Like, I don't need to have my hand on a controller. I don't need to be playing a game. The game needs to speak to me. The game needs to be bringing me some type of joy. And it's like, I take the joy where I can get it these days, Gary. So it's like, when I'm playing something, if it really is connecting with me, like Kana has been, I'm like, cool. I'm dropping everything else because this is what I want to do, right? And I feel like if 2 games are competing to pull me away like to each other, like that is an amazing privilege to have. And I haven't had that in a very long time with the way I play games. But I think that's cool that we can all play games differently.
It's another very interesting issue that you raise, and this is something else that's been on my mind lately, is this. Somebody said to me recently that media consumption has almost begun to feel like homework because there's so much to do, and you almost feel like there's an obligation to keep up with everything, especially for people like you and me, Tim, to different degrees. It's our job, right? You work for an outlet that talks about and reviews all the latest, not just video games, but TV shows, movies, comic books, everything in popular culture. So you do have to stay on top of it. I write film and television and video games and stuff like that. So I have to feel an obligation to keep on top of everything. And I kind of feel like we live in an era now where if you haven't watched Ted Lasso or The White Lotus or Succession, or if you haven't played the latest hot video game, you almost are passively made to feel guilty about it, that you're not keeping on top of all this other cool stuff that everyone's into. Do you get that feeling? Because I feel like I don't know. It's I'm the same as you. I don't feel like if I feel like watching some old episode of fucking Storage Wars or whatever shit I feel like watching to turn my brain off instead of like the Prestige, HBO, Netflix, Apple TV stuff that's out there. I'm gonna watch what I want to watch, but I still feel a little bit residually guilty that I'm not watching or consuming or playing the stuff that I'm quote unquote supposed to be watching because it's what everyone's into right now. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, personally, I feel like I have leveled up my life when I learned how to weaponize that feeling, and as opposed to like letting it be a weapon towards me, where it's more like I need to decide what brings me joy. And what you're talking about is discourse. And I need to ask myself what discourse brings me joy and what discourse stresses me out and makes me upset. And so there are certain things where I'm like, I'm going to watch this show because I want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be educated on and be able to have opinions that are backed up by something and be able to contribute to the discourse there. There's a ton of things I'm like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And there's other things where I'm like, I just want to consume this stuff to have it to myself, and I don't necessarily need to talk to you about it because I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for the discourse. And I think all three of those things are very valid approaches to it all. And it's just like, you can take that with music, with movies, TV, video games. It goes across all of it. Like, do what makes you happy. But to do that, you need to learn what makes you happy, and you need to learn what it is you're looking for out of the thing, because sometimes just enjoying the thing isn't the enjoyment. The enjoyment's actually talking about it afterwards.
Right.
And if that's true, then cool. Double down on that. Figure that out.
And again, that's different for different people. I think that's, again, a really interesting point that you've touched upon there, that it's not just the consumption of the media anymore. It's being part of the conversation, because we have these tools now, right, through social media, that the conversation, the discourse, as you put it, is such a big part of the experience, right? You don't just watch it, you then go and like add, you kind of add your 2 cents to the conversation, the ongoing discourse. That's one thing where I have kind of felt it's more healthy to kind of disengage. Like, I want to watch the stuff that I want to watch because I want to watch it, not because I feel like I need to be part of the conversation. Even it's like I gotta watch. People are live tweeting shows and doing their recaps the next day. It's almost like you haven't really watched it unless you make your opinions, unless you show that you've watched it, demonstrate that you've watched it, and make your opinions public. But I've really tried to disengage with that. Like, my wife and I have been watching Ted Lasso season 2 these past few weeks. I have a lot of thoughts about Ted Lasso season 2, but I have not expressed any of them online, because I feel like I can just watch the show and enjoy it and keep my thoughts to myself, and that can be enough. Like, not, and we've seen Bo Burnham talk about this, and not every fucking thought and opinion you have needs to be expressed for everyone to see. Like, it's okay to like think shit and just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, but on the other side, it's also okay to share your opinion and enjoy.
Yeah, but
sharing
again,
that opinion.
The tools are there if you want to do it. But again, I feel like it's become such a default that I think some people almost feel a sense of obligation to contribute to the discourse. You know what I mean? And that, to me, is that where it starts to feel a little bit oppressive.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's interesting, and I think that we're gonna kind of see this kind of continue to affect people a lot. And that's why I'm saying, like, you just need to learn how to control it and weaponize it yourself. You need to really take a moment and think about how all these things are making you feel, and go forward. Like, one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen somebody say was years ago at VidCon at this point. And it was Zay Frank, who was at the time one of the biggest YouTubers and the founder of BuzzFeed. And this is back in the early days of BuzzFeed, before they became like what they are today, definitely. But even before they became like the number one thing, it was on their like rise. And he was talking about like what makes BuzzFeed different than everything else. And the idea was the core concept of why the website existed and what its function was to share who you are with someone else. The content was all about sharing a piece of you. So every single thing, the reason that the listicles exist, and the reason that headlines were written the way that they were back then, of like the 15 things that prove you're this type of person or whatever, it was all about being able to identify that so that you have something to be able to show people, look, I identify with 15 things that prove you're a 90s kid. I want to identify as a 90s kid. I want people to think of me as a 90s kid. And that allowed conversations to start and like communities to kind of form in a bunch of different ways. And I've always just been so fascinated by that concept of having community based around, like having content that's pure purpose of being created is for people to identify with and be able to share their identity. And I think that what we're talking about here with video games and with the conversation around video games and all that is there are more options than ever. And I love that when it comes to KindaFunny, because of the way we talk about all this stuff, if a video game comes out, so many best friends out there are able to tweet at us and be like, oh, Tim, this is a Tim-ass game. You should check it out. This is a Gary-ass game. This is a Greg-ass game. Like, that means something different because of the way that we share who we are through video games and through our connection with this art.
Yeah, and that's why increasingly when I talk about things that I like or I don't like, or thumbs up, thumbs down, I always put it through the lens of my personal preference, rather than saying this one thing is objectively better than something else. When I saw your face this morning, first when I turned on Discord, I'm always glad to see you, Tim. But I was a little bit bummed out that it wasn't Greg, because I really wanted to give some shit this week for this fucking Egg McMuffin versus McGriddles thing that he wasted everyone's time with yesterday. And apparently it's dragging into today. I really wanted to give him some shit over it because it's such a collide. It's almost, I feel like this is a symptom of the idea that every vacuum every quiet moment that we have now has to be filled with some kind of pointless debate. And it's things like this are such a fucking colossal waste of time and mental energy. Let me put it this way to you, Greg. Sorry, Tim. Because this is how badly I want to give Greg shit. I'm imagining that he's you. I'm like, I'm superimposing his face over you. So you're going to be Greg for the purpose of this conversation. So the problem with you, Greg, is that let's say that you and I rolled up to a McDonald's drive-thru, and I ordered an Egg McMuffin, and you in the passenger seat ordered a McGriddle. I wouldn't turn to you and say, what the fuck is wrong with you? An Egg McMuffin is clearly superior to the griddle. You should have an Egg McMuffin. You should change your order. I would never do that. I would just let you have what you want to have and leave you the fuck alone. And like, I'll eat what I want to eat, and you eat what you want to eat, and we mind each other, mind our own fucking business. So why does it have to be why does it have to be a big fucking social media debate? Just eat what you like and leave everyone else the fuck alone. Hello, Greg.
Gary, you don't ever put me into a fucking hypothetical situation sentence that's going to have me eating a McGriddle, all right? I'll eat the dirt outside the McDonald's drive-thru before I eat a McGriddle.
Flip it either way. By the way, your microphone is really loud. Flip it the other way. The point is, eat what you want and mind your own business.
I didn't want to get into the Egg McMuffin. I didn't want to do the Egg McMuffin McGriddle debate yesterday. Right? You set the war to me.
If McDonald's was saying we're phasing one out, and then you would go fight for the one that you want, right? Because that actually affects you. But as long as both of us, he's fucked off because he knows he's going to lose this argument. As long as both remain a choice, just have your choice and leave the other person alone. Here's my thing, though. Why does one person have to be right and one person have to be wrong over a matter of taste?
I don't think that's where it started. Of course, that's where it
always ends up.
That's where it always ends. But what I appreciate about it as a fucking scholar here, okay? I'm the only motherfucker sitting here paying attention, where it's just like, what I find fascinating is how split this is. I am just fascinated that there are people that have such opinions about these things as if it's this bitter rivalry between two foods from McDonald's. And I think that's great that like all these polls, they're close. It's not like there's a clear fucking winner here.
And that's the thing. What was it, 49-51 or something? Yeah.
They're acting like there's a clear fucking winner. I know I have my preferences, like you're saying, and I'm not going to get mad at somebody for ordering the other thing. I am going to think they're stupid if they think one is vastly superior to the other.
This really does connect to our previous conversation, Tim, that through social media, where everyone's expected to be a part of the discourse and you feel like you're obliged to contribute to these ongoing debates, is that now we're so desperate to contribute to arguments, and we're so desperate to be like outraged about things and be right and have the other person be wrong, that we'll argue about literally anything. We'll argue about an Egg McMuffin versus a McGriddle. The most pointless shit we will get really into these. And I get it. It's all a joke. It's all a bit of fun. It's all very silly. But we get all heated up about it. Oh my God, fuck you, McGriddle. It's like, what's item number 2? On the Roper Report.
The number 2 is the double cheeseburger meal. You get 2 of the different cheeseburgers. But before we get to number 2, Kevin, you ready for this? Let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily is brought to you by Away. Whether you're running to the grocery store, planning a weekend away, or taking an extended stay with friends or family, we're all still in the bizarre current reality of travel. Luckily, Away makes trips all kinds of easy peasy with their actual life-changing range of suitcases, bags, and accessories. I love Away. You know, us at Kinda Funny, we travel a whole bunch, or at least we used to, and I never would travel without my Away luggage. I love it. It is so smooth to just roll that thing. It's beautiful, very nice to look at. You know me, I care about aesthetics, and so does Away. An Away bag is one of those things that once you get your hands on it, it makes you wonder how the heck you lived without it. It is easily the best luggage I've ever had. Away offers a 100-day trial and free shipping and returns on everything, so you can't lose. You can start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/KFGD. That's awaytravel.com/KFGD. awaytravel.com/KFGD. Next up, shout out to Amazon Music. Amazon Music has over 10 million free podcast episodes to listen to, including this one. But Amazon Music isn't just for listening to podcasts. That'd be ridiculous considering it's Amazon Music. They've also got thousands of music stations and top playlists to stream for free. And no matter what you're listening to, you can even go hands-free with Alexa. You just download the app and enjoy listening free wherever, anywhere on your favorite devices. There's no credit card or subscription required. I've been listening to Bo Burnham's Inside for the, I don't know, millionth time this year, and Amazon Music makes that fun, makes that easy, and man, what an experience that is. I recommend it to everybody. If you've never tried Amazon Music, what are you waiting for? You're going to love it as much as we all do. Start listening for free today. Head over to amazon.com/KFGD. That's amazon.com/KFGD to stream thousands of music stations and over 10 million podcast episodes for free, including this show. Amazon.com/KFGD. And finally, shout out to DraftKings. It's been one heck of a kickoff for the NFL season, Andy keeps telling me, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. All you have to do is pick up your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. You can download the DraftKings app now and use code KFGD. Download the DraftKings app now and use code KFGD. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter the code KFGD to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code KFGD only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. There's a minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. But remember, code KFGD at DraftKings. Welcome to the internet, OMGesus. Story number 2. Invites and info for the next Halo Infinite multiplayer tech preview are officially rolling out. This comes from the official HaloWaypoint site. Our primary goal for these 2 tech previews will be to test our online services at a larger scale than ever before. Some would say a big team battle scale. To achieve this goal, all Halo insiders with eligible accounts as of September 13th will be invited to participate. The game content will be Social Arena, which is including objective modes and a new map on Sunday, September 26th. Bot Arena, including objective modes. Big Team Battle, that debuts September 30th through October 3rd. 3 different modes on the map called Fragmentation. There's a training mode, weapon drills, customization, battle pass, and new Halo Waypoint app and web experiences. Matchmaking will only be set up for a set amount of time each day in order to help us test our servers against the highest concurrency possible. While this does mean shorter time for players to go hands-on, it's critical to our primary goal of ensuring that our online services are ready for launch. The daily matchmaking windows for both weekends will be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of each flight. Lists that break down what's happening are usually more helpful for me, so I made one in case it's helpful for you too. There's a whole breakdown of everything. Thursday evening, this Thursday, September 23rd, you will be able to download the build so you're just ready to go for the weekend. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we got 10 to 2, 5 to 9. And then on Monday, it closes at that 10 a.m. time. So get it in this weekend, and then next weekend is where the real fun begins. Same idea, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 2, 5 to 9, and that's when Big Team Battle enters the game, and we get to go into some stuff. Big Team Battle this time around is 12v12 as opposed to the old school 8v8. When outside of these matchmaking windows, the training mode, weapon drills, battle pass, and customization experiences will remain online and available in-game. I'm excited as hell. Snowbike Mike's excited. Andy's excited. A lot of members of the team are excited. We're going to be streaming. We're not exactly sure when, but stay tuned to twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames and twitter.com/KindaFunnyVids for more info on exactly what content we're making around this. But Gary Whitta, you are on the XCast. You are one of my favorite people in the world. How excited are you for this? What does this do for you? Halo, Infinite, the test previews, all of that. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've dabbled with Halo over the years. More, to be honest with you, more on the single player campaign side. I always enjoy the single player story campaigns. Multiplayer, I haven't really played a lot of that just because, I get my ass kicked. I'm not competitive. My XCast co-hosts, Mike and Paris, are, of course, super excited about it. They were in the last flight, which was exclusively just against bots, but this is the one that's going to be more like the actual multiplayer experience, full-on matchmaking, big team battle, like you said, playing against, your friends. That is going to be, I think, a lot of fun, and I'm excited for Mike and Paris and all the other hardcore Halo fans who have signed up for this and are going to get a little taste of Infinite multiplayer early. Personally, I'm content to wait for the game to come out December 8th and jump in there. Not because I don't care, but just because, again, there's so many other things that I'm playing right now. I'm not a super hardcore Halo zealot like Mike and Paris are, where every flight they're going to be signed up for it, they're going to be playing, right up until the last minute that Microsoft flipped the switch and turn it off again, they're going to be playing. That's not me. I am looking forward to it, just as I'm looking forward to the new Battlefield and a bunch of games that are coming out this holiday season. So I'm in, definitely. When the game goes full retail, I'm going to be excited to hook up with Mike and Paris, and they can hold my hand and show me how not to get my ass handed to me on a regular basis. But it's been a very long time since I was competitive at multiplayer shooters. With a mouse and keyboard on the PC, maybe I could be a bit more competitive this time. But my history of gamepad, Halo multiplayer it's not great. So much in the same way that I really like PUBG, but I gave up playing it a while ago because I felt like the skill base had kind of left me behind. I wasn't good enough to really be competitive, and I don't feel like I have to be great at a game to enjoy it. But when you're just getting killed over and over and over, there comes a point when that's just not fun anymore. If you don't feel like you can even get your foot in the door. So it's been a long time. I'm going to give it another try. I'm going to give it a fair shot. If I feel like if I can be competitive, if I'm on a team of players who are willing, to carry me a little bit while I, figure out what I'm doing, then great. Teams and playing with teams is always more fun anyway, but I'm going to wait and see. Happy to wait for December 8th.
I feel like I'm a lot more similar to you in this than anyone else at KindaFunny, where I am not good. I'm not good at competitive multiplayer games, specifically first-person shooters. I just don't got the stuff. Having said that, I don't think I've had more fun this year with a video game than with the weekend with the technical preview for Halo Infinite. Hanging out with Mike and Andy playing was such a blast. And I think one key thing, too, is that to incentivize you, if you have time, to even pop in for a little bit. These bot arenas, which is what the first technical flight mainly was, and some of this one's going to be as well, are so fun, and they make you feel like a badass, Gary. These things aren't going to beat you. You're just fucking running through them, and it is awesome. It allows you to just understand the mechanics that make Halo Infinite specifically shine. And oh, do they shine. I love it. It is such a blast, and I can't wait to be able to kind of grow with that stuff to hopefully get to a point that I am a little bit more competitive when the game finally comes out. But what I've always enjoyed most about Halo is that the multiplayer, especially the big team battle stuff with the objectives, you don't necessarily need to be the sharpest shooter in the game. I'm the flag capture. We play capture the flag. I'm the flag guy. I'm sneaking around getting that thing. And it's just that to me is so much fun. And it's a totally different skill set than necessarily going out there getting as many kills as possible.
I actually really like class-based shooters for that reason. When I used to play Team Fortress 2, I mainly played as an engineer, which is more of a tactical, job than it is being, a twitcher. You build turrets and you defend them and you find places, choke points and stuff where you can be most effective. So I really like it when you get to find a class or a role that, is suitable for your play style. I'm actually glad that we're talking about this, Tim, because I wanted to check in with you on something. Since we were talking about different control methods, this was a hot topic, a conversation on a recent Xcast when we were talking about the last flight. You tweeted out a picture while we were live on the Xcast, and I was like, guys, breaking news. I had to tell everyone what you were doing. I thought this was fascinating, where you had adopted kind of a hybrid control mechanism where you were using you had a gamepad in one hand and you were using the left thumbstick to move around, but you had your mouse for the actual aiming. So you were using both control methods in a kind of a hybrid configuration. That was a really, really interesting way to approach it. I didn't have a chance to talk to you about it yet. Did that actually work for you? Was that a valid way to play?
Oh, it's the best way to play, and anyone that says anything different are ignorant and need to adjust their life views. Here's the thing, man. Was how I was playing perfect? No. It was in the beta. It worked, unlike many other games where I've tried to do that in the past and it wouldn't work. Anybody that's out there just this is stupid. It's think about it. It's literally just the best of both worlds. All you're getting is the good stuff. You're not getting any of the bad parts. You're getting the hand cramp of the WASD. Get the hell out of here. Nobody can argue that WASD works better than an analog stick for movement. What? Come on. But now here's the thing.
I mean, you're talking a lot of sense, Tim.
Am I silly for
You're talking a lot of sense. How would you rather
heavy?
Move around with your thumb on the thumbstick or with WASD? No, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get your left brain and your right brain working together, because to look at it, it looks like that's not right. You're breaking some kind of. I don't understand, but I feel like you're breaking some kind of gameplay rule. But you're really not. And of course, I think you're right in both counts. Right? It's what is the best way and don't get carried away. What is the best way to use your left and your right hand, right, when you're playing a game? What's the best way to navigate? Oh, look at what you're doing to me.
There's the Razer Tartarus Pro is an option for people Tartarus. Where this is your left hand, and then there's the analog stick. I will say, not a fan. This doesn't do what I need it to do. The way that your hand rests on it, the analog stick is diagonal. I want up to mean up, not diagonal. Does that make sense?
Was it comfortable over the long term for you to be holding a controller just in one hand the way you were doing though?
So that's the thing. Absolutely not, Gary. Absolutely not was it comfortable. The thing was way too heavy. I had to put it down on the table. It's not the end of the world. But here's my solution. And it's the dumbest solution in the world. But guess what? Until motherfuckers can step up to me, the glorious future of video games, and make some peripherals that actually make sense, guess what I'm planning to do, Gary, for Halo?
You're going to put a brick on your desk or something?
No. The PlayStation 3...
Oh my God!
I don't even know what the hell this is called. I don't remember. Greg Miller's probably the navigation controller. Nunchuck. It was the PlayStation 3's Wii Nunchuck knockoff. All right, but guess what? This is super comfortable. I have all the buttons I need to do whatever the hell I want to do. Then I get to aim with the mouse. Oh yeah, dude. Does it require a mini USB? Yeah. Did I have to order that because I didn't have one anymore from Amazon?
Oh my God, mini USB. Now you're going back.
Firmware things for drivers to be able to make it work on my PC? Yeah. But guess what? I'm going to fucking dominate. And when I say dominate, I mean I'm going to dominate me having fun.
Listen, I think you're talking a lot of sense, just in the same way that I think any sensible person would recognize that a mouse is a better aiming mechanism than a thumbstick. I think people would have to agree that a thumbstick's a better movement mechanism than WASD.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're living in the year fucking 3000, Tim. We're all trying to catch up.
I know. I've been saying it for a long time. Story number 3, sticking with more Halo stuff here. Halo Infinite dev explains multiplayer challenges to ease worries about progression. This comes from Matt Purslow at IGN. This is all actually from the same HaloWaypoint article. It's very long. They've been doing a lot of the Halo Insider development updates that are talking about the technical preview, but then also where they're at with the actual final game and what their plan is. And there's been a lot of debate here, Gary, after the technical preview of how progression works, how XP works, because you don't get XP for every game that you play. You only get XP if you do these challenges. You're limited to how many challenges you can do. People don't seem stoked about this. They're very trepidatious. Word of the day, trepidatious. But let's get into this here. Halo Infinite developer 343 Industries has addressed player concerns about the game's challenge-based multiplayer progression, stating that it should take a player 16 to 18 hours of play before they run out of daily challenges. Now think about that, Gary. That's a day. So it would require 18 hours of play a day for those challenges before they reset the next day. On the latest Inside Infinite post on HaloWaypoint, 343's community manager outlined how Infinite's progression will work. Rather than progressing through Infinite's battle pass system with traditional XP granted for kills, assists, and wins, XP will instead be provided for completing weekly and daily challenges. Players have previously voiced concern about how this system time gates progression, as if you run out of challenges, there's no way to push forward through the battle pass. However, 343 states it will take many hours for that to happen. At launch, we anticipate that on average, it should take a player 16 to 18 hours of playing and eventually winning before they run out of daily challenges. While we understand the community's feedback around wanting a steady drip of match XP and more ways to earn XP for the Battle Pass, we're optimistic that the system available at launch will give players adequate means of continually having something to accomplish and a means to progress. Looking further ahead beyond launch, we expect these systems to evolve in direct partnership with player feedback. Kind of want to stop there. Any thoughts on that, Gary?
I'm interested. This is the first I'm hearing of it, and I do have a couple of initial thoughts. I do think it's, first of all, I would reserve judgment on whether or not this is a better system than just grinding XP through hours played until I see what the challenge is. This is how I feel similarly about this, the way I do about achievements. If achievements and trophies are designed in such a way that they're fun to pursue and they're additive to the game, then that's great. But if they become just like stupid chores and busy work, like paint every corner of the map, go visit every single pixel on the entire map, just like a really laborious, like counting grains of sand on a beach. That to me is not additive. So it really, I wouldn't make a judgment on this until I see how the challenges actually work and do they encourage you to have more fun playing the game. So I wouldn't make a blanket judgment just on the fact that they're doing it generally in this way. I do think maybe there's something to it. I know the hardcore who want to grind out and want to hit max, you're going to want to min max the game and hit the level cap as soon as possible, are maybe going to be perturbed by this, because this almost seems like a way to kind of throttle them or slow them down a little bit. It seems like Microsoft is maybe, or 343 is maybe trying to institute a system whereby you can progress, but there's a limit to how quickly you can progress, each day. So it's not like I'm going to jump on like day 3 and everyone's already max level because they've been playing 25 hours a day. The game is saying you can progress, and you can actually progress quite quickly if you really want to put the hours in, but you can't just brute force your way to like getting, to grabbing every weapon and perk in the game super fast just by, gaming it. Because, I used to see this in Warcraft all the time. People would hit max level all the time by literally playing 24 hours a day. They would play in shifts. Somebody would play 8 hours, and then someone else would take over and play that character for another 8 or 8 hours, and they would never not min-maxing the game. And it's a brute force way to do it, and it's valid. I always found it never really appealed to me. I never really understood the point of like just trying to get to the end of a game as quickly as possible. Why not just fast forward through a movie? You're not going to enjoy it, but you'll get to the end more quickly. But video games, I like to stop and smell the roses and have, like you said, I want to have fun playing the game. And if the system allows it helps me to do that, then I'm all for it. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for people that just want to like brute force grind their way to the level cap as quickly as they can.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like there's a lot more information here on all the daily, weekly challenges and how those work. A little more I want to say is completing all weekly challenges unlocks a capstone challenge, which is the same for all players each week. Unlike the daily challenges, which seem like there's about 700 different challenges every day, but like you get randomized ones of which ones are assigned to you. So there's a ton of things to do, and again, those reset every day. So it's not expecting you to ever do them all, but there's a lot of variation. There's a lot of options there to kind of keep you engaged with the different things they want you to do. But the capstone challenge is the same for all players each week and grants a coding or emblem as a reward for completion. An example is tactical precision, which requires 15 headshot kills. And then there's a lot of just different ways these systems kind of work together that they go into further detail on. To me, it just kind of seems like this is a radical departure from how other video games handle this stuff. And I don't necessarily think that it's better or worse. It's just not what people are used to. And, change is scary. And I think that we're going to have to see this in a final release. Hopefully that this next technical preview will give a better idea of how it's actually going to work compared to last time, which I understand a lot of the issues people had with it because it was a lot more limited. But I think adding all of this with the amount of challenges, with the amount of daily and weekly and all of that, this way could prove to be very well thought out, and they're obviously pushing it for a reason.
That's why I reserve judgment, and I do think in general it could be a more meritocratic system. And I know that some of this is already built in. Games that just reward you for most games that have an XP progression system will award you more for a win than for a loss, for example. That's fairly common. But most games will award you just for playing. Oh, you lost. You did terribly, but you played for an hour. You were active for a certain amount of time.
Here's some numbers.
So we'll give you some XP. I think that it would be more of a meritocracy, and it's better to be rewarded for your skill rather than just the hours that you put in. So if it's a system of let's say that I played for 10 hours, but was crap. I don't think I should get a lot of XP for that. But if I played for 2 hours and I was getting headshot after headshot and 360 no scopes and incredible KD ratio, those are the things that I feel like you should be rewarded for. They should be rewarded. The players that should be rewarded are the ones that play the best, not the ones that play the most, would be the short way to put it.
Yeah, I'm interested, and I think at the end of the day, 343 Industries have proven, and everything they've done with Halo Infinite so far has shown that they are listening to players. They understand. They just want us to give them a chance with this because they've thought about it and they have a plan. I'm interested in seeing this plan. Will it end up sticking? I don't know. But if it doesn't, I am confident that they're going to revert or come back to something that people are happy with, because they're nailing Infinite from the multiplayer perspective, and I expect that to continue. Moving on to story 4, the U.S. government is now investigating Activision Blizzard's Bobby Kotick, and he is subpoenaed. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has reportedly launched, this is from Zack Zwizen at Kotaku. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has reportedly launched a wide-reaching investigation into Activision Blizzard, with the government agency looking into how the embattled publisher handled the multiple allegations of sexual harassment, abuse, and toxic behavior that became public following a California Department of Fair Employment and Housing lawsuit filed in July. The SEC has subpoenaed Activision and several of its high-ranking execs, including CEO Bobby Kotick. In a report out today by the Wall Street Journal, it was revealed the SEC has begun investigating Activision Blizzard and is asking for the Call of Duty and Warcraft publisher to hand over various documents. These include the personal files of 6 previous employees and records of CEO Kotick's communications with executives relating to the numerous complaints of sexual harassment and discrimination levied against Activision Blizzard staff. Activision spokesperson confirmed that the Wall Street Journal on Monday that the SEC was indeed investigating the massive gaming publisher, telling the outlet that they are focused on the company's disclosures regarding employment matters and related issues. She also confirmed that several current and former employees had been subpoenaed by the federal agency. The company is cooperating with the SEC. The investigation is not necessarily about finding justice for the victims of the horrible abuse, but instead about looking out for the company's investors who probably aren't happy about its recent cycle of bad news. The Wall Street Journal explains that the SEC is investigating to figure out whether Activision and its executives correctly and adequately disclosed allegations of workplace harassment and gender pay issues to investors and other related individuals, and if these disclosures happen quickly enough, according to the documents seen by the outlet. Gary?
I said to you before the show that I've got a little bit of Activision Blizzard fatigue, as I'm sure that we all have. This story isn't going away. It seems only to be getting worse and worse for Activision Blizzard, and rightly so. They're not handling it well. More and more investigative bodies are getting involved. Here's now the SEC. And as someone who has said many times on this show that Kotick needs to go, he needs to go because I don't believe that there's any way forward or any redemption for Activision Blizzard, so long as the person who managed them into this hole in the first place continues to be in charge, right? He's chiefly responsible for. He's the chief executive officer of that company, and so he's chiefly responsible for what has happened to it, for the terrible situation it's in now. So why would anyone trust him to now turn that ship around? You need fresh blood. You need a fresh attitude. You need someone new in there to improve investor confidence, improve the morale and the confidence of the people that work under you there at Activision Blizzard. He's got to go. And so I think the spotlight now falling very squarely on him. Bobby Kotick has been tiptoeing through the raindrops on this one for a while now. And now that the focus is specifically on him, I got to tell you, Tim, I would love to see Bobby Kotick sitting in one of those hearings, with all the cameras and the lights and everything, being grilled by SEC investigators, top expert professionals. He's going to be sweating. That watching 10 hours of that, Tim, would be more entertaining to me than any game Activision Blizzard could put on the market. I would absolutely love that. And so I'm really glad that the spotlight is falling on him because he is chiefly responsible. And I do think as the stock price continues to go down and investors continue to grumble, eventually, again, these people are going to protect their investments. And Bobby Kotick is where he is because he's made a lot of money for a lot of people over a lot of years. But there's no loyalty in this business, right? It's called show business, not show friends. As soon as he starts to turn that ship around and suddenly it's going in the wrong direction, and now investors like, wait, I'm losing money under this guy now, he's fucking gone. And so I think that is the path that we're on. I'll actually change my tone a little bit from saying like Bobby Kotick needs to go, and I'll just add, and I think he is going to go. I think ultimately, like, he's survived a lot of shit over the years. He very narrowly got his mega, luxury bonus package pushed through recently, but there was a certain amount of finagling that had to happen behind the scenes, apparently, in order to get that done, because investors were already kind of unhappy with his performance at the company. Now he's brought all this embarrassment, all this ignominy, all this shame, all this potential financial and legal exposure in jeopardy to the company. Sooner or later, these investors' patience are going to run out. They can only lose so much more. They can only lose so much more money before they need him to go. And I do think it's going to happen. I would say I'll make this prediction and clip this. Come back in a year, see if I'm wrong. I think within a year, Bobby Kotick's not there. I think this is going to be what finally brings him down.
I honestly think that's a safe bet at this point, and for good reason with all this stuff. I wouldn't go as far as you did in terms of personally wanting to see him in any situation, but I do think that this is all coming to a head, and this is the result of everyone talking about this and the result of it being exposed, and this is going to result in other companies having to look at this and change a lot of their shit. And this is going to make a better future. It's going to be a very bumpy road to get there, but we're moving in a good direction. And this stuff needs to be exposed. It needs to be talked about. And we need to come up with better solutions for a better future and a better industry that is safe for everybody, and thinking about the right things and worrying about the right things. So we'll see how that all goes. Last story of the day, Kev, if you could bring up this tweet, that would be awesome. Last of Us costumes are coming to Sackboy, a big adventure on September 26th. So 5 days from now, you will be able to play your little Sackboy as Ellie or Abby from The Last of Us Part 2. Kind of a weird collaboration, but also not at all, because it's Sony and they've done this. Little Big Planet, it's always kind of had this fun stuff. It's just a little weird to see these characters with this color scheme, with this promo image for Sackboy, a big adventure.
Oh yeah, that's a weird combination of tones, right? Because Sackboy is so jolly and fun and frothy and lightweight, and The Last of Us is the opposite of all of those things. So yeah, strange combination.
Yeah. But hey, this is probably for somebody out there. So 5 days from now, get hyped, everybody.
I got ahead of you. I thought you were going to say Last of Us costumes are coming to, and when you got to the S, I thought you were going to say Spirit Halloween Store. I would have been all about that.
Yes. Oh, God, I love that. Moving on. Hold on. Let me take a step back here, Gary.
Yes.
Spirit Halloween is so far away.
It's not, though. It's practically here.
No, it's not. It's over a month away.
Listen, everyone knows Halloween starts September 1st and it goes all the way through October 31st. The true believers know this.
True believers. Okay, if Blessing is the king of Halloween, Greg Miller ain't shit. What does that make you, Gary Whitta?
I'm just someone who really likes Halloween. I don't need any kind of like formal, robe or title or crown or affectation. I'm just someone who really loves Halloween. I'm happy just to be a Halloween person.
Well, next year's Halloween, Gary, is so far away. If I want to know what's coming to Mom and Grop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software on each and every platform as listed by the KindaFunny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday. Oh, we don't get to hear it? Okay.
Let me know when it's done.
I'm glad we don't have to hear it. That's great. Yeah.
There we go. Out today, we got Kena Bridge of Spirits on PS5, PS4, and PC with the Epic Game Store. You can use the code KindaFunny to get it if you're buying it today. Also, we're about to do the stream right after this. It's really exciting stuff. Next up, we got World War Z Aftermath on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. We got Street Outlaws 2, Winner Takes All on everything. Sheltered 2 on PC. Golf Peaks, Xbox One. Guild of Ascension on PC. If on a Winter's Night for Travelers on PC, Beyond Contact PC, Potioncraft Alchemist Simulator on PC, Red Dead Online. Players looking to earn their blood money can gain double RDO bucks and XP for stealing the Ember of the East this week. There's also an influx of Capitail hitting the frontier. I love talking about video games where I'm just reading random features in the game. You're like, this is gibberish. This is another language. What the fuck is a Capitail? Anyways, if you like Red Dead Online, stuff's happening. Guild Wars 2 End of Dragon second beta is now live. And like I said, Beyond Contact is in early access on Steam. Some new dates for you. Neo, The World Ends With You is releasing on Epic Game Store next Tuesday, September 28th. And Townscaper is coming to Android and iOS October 20th. Let's see. Where do I want to go from here? We ran long. I want to go straight to you're wrong. What did we get wrong today, Gary? I'm going to assume.
I very rarely get anything wrong, but
that's what I was saying.
I honestly think it's time to sunset this feature because it's usually just people with they're not even the you're wrongs. Like Greg tries to read them out and they're like, none of these people really have a you're wrong.
Yeah, we're not wrong. Today is one of those days, but I will give a shout out to Nanobiologist who says Activision stocks are down 20% as of today when looking at the past 6 months.
There you go. How much more can it drop before these investors decide enough is enough?
We'll have to wait and find out. Tomorrow, this show will return right here on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames with Blessing and Snowbike Mike hosting. So that's really exciting.
That'll be a good combo.
A rare Snowbike Mike appearance on KindaFunny Games Daily. Then Thursday, it's Timur, Hussein, and me for a Tam Tim Thursday. Very excited about that. That's a little hint at the future of KindaFunny Games Daily when Greg Miller goes on paternity leave. He's going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing every Thursday with Tam. And I can announce this here. I'm doing every Tuesday with Gary. This is going to be the combo.
Oh, wow.
This right here,
what a treat. For the rest
of the year. Most of the time, at least. That'll be the standard scheduling. So very exciting stuff there. And then on Friday, it is Greg and Blessing, which is also very exciting. If you're watching live on Twitch right now, we're about to load up Kana, Bridge of Spirits. Andy's going to be playing, and we're giving away 21 codes. So that's really cool. Be in the chat to get some of that. Anyways, till next time. Gary, I love you. I really appreciate
you. Love you too. The feeling is very mutual, sir.
Till next time, love you.